Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Jonathan Voico.
Hello, everybody.
Robert Meyer-Burnett.
Hello there.
And most importantly, of course, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. And here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start out by talking about a number of really cool topics we got lined up for you guys today. Then in the second part of the show is when we're going to take your questions. If you guys have a thought, theory, opinion, question, or a topic you'd like us to address on the show, you can send it in to us one of two ways. The first way is if you're like most people and you're watching this show a little bit later in the day, like after we've streamed live, you can send in a question for the next show at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. If you are watching the show live right now as we're streaming, you can use the super chat feature in the live chat and send it in this way. And whichever way you use, as long as your topic or question is deemed appropriate for us to address on the show, we will address it in the second part of the show. All right, guys. That down, let's get things started with this. I can neither confirm nor deny that if we started rolling the cameras about 5 minutes before the show started, you might have seen me doing a little bit of headbanging to Rammstein or a little Du Hast, because I got into the mood to listen to some of the old Mortal Kombat soundtrack. Why? Because today a new Mortal Kombat trailer is dropped. It might even be the last one, because the movie's coming out less than a month. May 8th. It's already April 9th, guys. This Mortal Kombat movie, which I believe was supposed to be out in October.
Bruh.
It was supposed to already have been out in theaters for a while, but it's coming. They put out a new trailer for it. As you can see here on screen, Sub-Zero's back. I have been reborn. And Earthrealm is in danger, an action-packed new Mortal Kombat 2 trailer, which they are also referring to it as tickets on sale trailer. Mm-hmm. Because as of now, ladies and gentlemen, you can go and get them Mortal Kombat tickets if you want. And as we'll talk about in a little bit, they might be harder to get than you think, these tickets. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's talk about this trailer. There are two things I am now certain of. One, this is going to be a terrible movie. Of that, I am absolutely convinced. The second thing I am convinced of is I'm going to have a lot of fun watching it. And if that sounds familiar, because those are my exact feelings of the original Mortal Kombat movie. It's a truly terrible movie, but man, if I don't love watching it. And I can watch it and listen to its soundtrack, it looks like a ball. Listen, it looks like they decided to just kind of forego the idea of trying to make a motion picture. And you know what? Let's just make Mortal Kombat into a movie. Something they failed to do last time, because they failed at the game mechanics of it and they failed at the storytelling. So it's like, well, if we can't do both, we might as well do at least one of those really well. Let's really make it feel like the game coming to life. And I'm sorry, and I'm sure a lot of people don't even like the line. I think one of the best lines I've heard in a trailer in a long time. What's my power? I'm Johnny Cage. It sounds like a line Rowdy Roddy Piper would have said in They Live. That was such a great line. Then the combat, seeing Hiroyuki Sanada transforming into Scorpion again. I mean, they were never able to recapture the beauty, nay, the magic of the last Mortal Kombat movie in their trailer, when Scorpion sliced a guy open, froze his blood that came spraying out into a spike, and then used that blood spike to stab the guy again. Maybe the greatest trailer moment in the history of cinema, going all the way back there. But so yeah, Rob, I've watched this trailer now. I think it's a great trailer, super fun, and I am convinced it's truly going to be a bad movie. But I'm also convinced I'm going to have a really good time watching it, much like that first Mortal Kombat movie. Anyway, you had a chance to see this trailer. It looks so much infinitely better than the last Mortal Kombat movie did already.
It does.
What did you think about this new trailer?
Look, I loved it. The only thing wrong with it is that Kurt Russell as Jack Burton is not in this.
Yeah.
No, what's not to love about this trailer? It's, you know what? It's exactly what it's supposed to be. It seems like it understood the assignment. And it's come right along, and it's going to give us everything that we want. with just enough respectability. And I mean, what? Come on, look at this. What's not to love?
I mean, again, it's 90% of the trailer is just showing two random characters squaring off.
Yeah.
5 seconds later, two more characters squaring off. 5 seconds later, two more. I mean, that's why I'm kind of saying plot, character dynamics, narrative flow. No,
They got to win to save Earth. That's all you need to know.
This ain't gonna have any of that.
I mean, the thing is, it's mortal. If they were trying to, it's not Lord of the Rings.
No, it's not Lord of the
So
Rings.
I don't need to go to Mordor. I don't need to go to Isengard or Orthanc or who don't care.
Similar stakes.
Yes,
Similar stakes.
Similar
Yes.
stakes.
You
You bow to no one, Johnny Cage.
Right.
Yeah. Now look, I don't know how much money this is going to make. I mean, nobody went to go see the last one, and the last one is going to turn some people off fairly or unfairly because the last one was terrible. I think the last one is going to turn some people off from giving this one a shot. But again, it might surprise you because we'll talk about that a little bit later. Guys, question is for you. What did you think of the trailer for Mortal Kombat? I got to tell you, I had a blast. I watched it like 4 times this morning. I had a really good time. But it's going to be a terrible movie for sure. But they're just going for, here's the fun of the video game. And I think that's going to be what some people are looking for. And I might be one of them. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Now, one of the big players in the world of movies is Fandango. I mean, they are the #1 place people go to buy their movie tickets. I get mine right from AMC's websites directly, but if I end up going to another theater that isn't an AMC theater, I usually use Fandango, and a lot of people do. They're pretty sticky in the entire movie world. They actually run Rotten Tomatoes as well, and all kinds of stuff. Well, as Fandango is off to do, they turn to their fans, the movie fans, the average movie fans that go to Fandango to buy their movie tickets. And they surveyed no less than 6,000 people, 6,000 average movie fans, to ask them what their most anticipated movie of the upcoming summer is. Not for the rest of the year, so you're not going to see Doomsday or Dune 3 on this list, but of the upcoming summer.
Mortal Kombat 2.
And it might surprise you to find out, as written here, that Toy Story 5. You know that movie that everybody says, nobody cares about Toy Story. And I kept telling people, you're wrong.
Yeah, is it weird that none of us are shocked by this?
Yeah. I mean, you're wrong. People care about Toy Story 5. But you know what? The list has some surprises. Again, at #1 is Toy Story 5. At #2 is Spider-Man Brand New Day. And look what's ahead of Odyssey. The Devil Wears Prada 2. That again, I've been telling people ever since they announced it, you are sleeping on this. Nobody's going to go watch that. Nobody cares about Devil Wears Prada. Just the #1 viewed trailer of 2025. Just now, the #8 highest viewed trailer of all time. Yeah, people are going to be going to, I'm not necessarily saying it's a $1 billion film, but the fact that Fandango tacked to average movie-going fans and they put it above #4, The Odyssey.
I'm going.
Oh, I'm going to be there. The Odyssey is the #4. The new Christopher Nolan film is the #4. Scary Movie. Which, listen, if you had said to me a couple of months ago, Scary Movie is going to be on that list in #5, I would have said you're insane. I don't like any of the scary movies. None of them. But then I saw the trailer to this Scary Movie.
I'm right there with you.
And I was hooked.
Yeah.
That is one of the funniest trailers I've seen in years. I'm like, I have never said these words. I'm excited to see Scary Movie. I've never said those words, but I cannot wait because that trailer was so good. Anyway, at #6, the live action Moana. At #7, Minions and Monsters. At #8, Mortal Kombat. At #9, Supergirl. And at #10, Insidious.
I honestly didn't even know there was an Insidious sequel till just now.
Now, a couple of notable things absent We'll talk about one of them in a minute. Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day.
Yeah.
Not on this list. A little Star Wars movie by the name of Mandalorian and Grogu. Not on this list. It was one of the options. Not on the list. I just think that's very interesting. So you got a Mortal Kombat movie that's ranked higher than a Steven Spielberg and an upcoming Star Wars film. But again, I think the big surprises to a lot of people are going to be that Toy Story 5 is number one. And that no surprise that Spider-Man's in the top two. I think a lot of people would have thought Spider-Man would have been number one. But Toy Story 5 is number one. According to these 6,000 movie fans surveyed, Spider-Man number two, and Devil Wears Prada number three over the Odyssey. That's the part, because I think a lot of people would have thought, and I would have gone along with it, I think a lot of people would have thought it would have been number one Spider-Man, because it's Spider-Man, number two, the Odyssey, then maybe number three, a Toy Story, maybe number four, Minions, whatever. But yeah, this is pretty interesting. Rob, you look at this list, what's standing out to you about what's higher than you thought it would be, lower than you thought it would be? I don't know. What are you thinking about it?
Well, Mortal Kombat being on that list at all
Yeah.
is surprising to me. I mean, but it goes to show you, I mean, I would say this represents a very populist list. I mean, this is school's out for summer. I think a lot of people don't know what Disclosure Day is. All of these are very familiar choices. You know, there are a lot of sequels, a lot of returning players. Christopher Nolan gets his berth, Supergirl, people know. So it's not a surprising list. I just don't think it has the fact that the Mandalorian and Grogu is not on here is to me the most significant.
Right, which we'll talk about in a minute here.
But I Disclosure Day doesn't surprise me because people don't. It's more upscale and more adult, I think, whereas this is populist, skews younger, and it doesn't really surprise me. It's a good list though. I mean, like you've always said, you've been the one saying the whole time, don't sleep on Devil Wears Prada. And it's funny because we movie fans, it's not even movie fans, it's we who are following movies on the internet and watch shows like ours. We are not necessarily the core audience for Devil Wears Prada, so we have a tendency to dismiss things rather than look at the big picture. But Devil Wears Prada 2 is going to be huge.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
I had this conversation with someone because we often hear there is a difference between what I would call more hardcore movie fans, like people who would make and watch, you folks right now. There's a difference between people who would make and watch shows like this and average moviegoers.
Yes.
There is often a criticism that gets made that the film critics are out of touch with average film fans. Statistically speaking, that's absurd. Like if you actually go over the overall averages, the thoughts of the average critics align mostly with the general movie-going audience, like 90% of the time.
Right.
I would actually suggest it's the hardcore movie fans that are out of touch with average movie fans.
Yeah.
I sometimes
agree.
feel that those of us in this circle, that we are actually like people who watch this show, people who make this show. I sometimes feel, or shows like ours, I sometimes feel that this circle is sometimes a little bit more out of touch with average movie going, whatever. But, and sometimes then Fandango puts out a thing like this and kind of highlights that a bit. By the way, there's another film not on this list. He-Man, Masters of the Universe, did not make this list. The fans looked at it, and I'm sure some voted for it. So you're talking Star Wars film, Mandalorian and Grogu, a Steven Spielberg film, Disclosure Day, and the Masters of the Universe film, all off this list. Reminder, Mortal Kombat 2 is more anticipated by the average film fans than those three movies, which I think is really.
But again, our world is a world of gamers, and Mortal Kombat is one of the foundational drugs that people played in their early video game days. I mean, it's got a whole multi-generations of people that are going to go just because. And,
Oh,
you
I
know,
dropped a lot of quarters in the Mortal Kombat
yeah,
game.
man. And to hear those game phrases said in even the trailer, you're like, it's almost like a Pavlovian response. I have to go see this movie. I don't have a choice.
I'm like instantly taken back to the 7-Eleven I used to go to in the 90s.
Totally.
Yeah.
We're going.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Toy Story 5 is actually the #1 most anticipated film, at least according to Fandango's fan survey. And Devil Wears Prada comes in ahead of Christopher Nolan's. Now, I don't think anybody thinks it's going to be a better movie than Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, but a lot of people are looking forward to seeing it. Anyway, whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's talk about this. For those of you just watching the segment instead of watching the whole show, we just finished talking about the top 10 most anticipated films of this summer, as surveyed by over 6,000 movie fans on Fandango. And to a lot of people's surprise, the #1 most anticipated film was Toy Story 5. #2 was Spider-Man. #3 was Devil Wears Prada. #4, The Odyssey, so on and so forth. But one of the most notable films missing on that list that did not get voted on by the fans, I mean, it was voted on, but didn't make it onto the top 10 list, was a Star Wars movie. Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is coming out soon, failed to get on the top 10 most anticipated. I don't know that that's ever happened. I don't know that there's ever been like, we're not even talking about all of 2026. We're just talking about the summer. Just the summer of 2026. And The Mandalorian and Grogu did not make it onto the top 5 or top 10 of movie fans most anticipated of the summer, getting beaten out by movies like Supergirl and Mortal Kombat and Insidious and Minions and Devil Wears Prada 2, all to be not on that list. And Rob, I think that is a staggering wake-up call. I think it's a staggering wake-up call. And I attribute this to two things. And I want to know what you think about this. The two things I attributed this to is, #1, it speaks just to the current status of Star Wars. I mean, yeah, we got Andor, which is the best thing Star Wars has ever produced since the original trilogy. But in, recent memory, we also had Obi-Wan, and we had Ahsoka, and we had, what's the one we just had? We had the Acolyte. Oh, the Acolyte. And we had Boba Fett. And we had, I mean, the reality, and with the last movie we had in theaters was The Rise of Skywalker, which was, to quote Harrison Ford in Shrinking,
7 years ago, too.
7 years ago now. Incredible.
Sheesh.
So it's been 7 years. And so I think the first culprit we look at when seeing that this Mandalorian and Grogu, a Star Wars film, not even being on the top 10, is a commentary on the current status of Star Wars. And the fact that it's been 7 years since we've had a film. And I think the second thing we attribute this to is something that I've talked about ever since they announced this movie. Nobody looks at this as a movie. Everybody just sees this as the TV show. That might be fair and that might be unfair, but I think it's reality. Mm-hmm. It's a glorified 4th season of the TV show.
Yeah.
And not everybody watched the TV show. So you've instantly kind of alienated everybody there. And it's not like we were coming off a strong foot. We're coming off easily of the weakest seasons of Mandalorian, with season 3, which was not very good, had some good highlights, had some really good highlights, as a matter of fact, but overall it was not a good season. So they're just taking a TV show and putting it on the big screen when we're coming off easily its weakest season. You combine that with the current status of Star Wars, and I'm still surprised that a Star Wars movie did not make the top 10 most anticipated list. But I'm not shocked when you think about that. Anyway, Rob, you saw this. Star Wars did not, even just for the summer, it couldn't get on the top 10 most anticipated list. How big of a deal is that? And what do you attribute it to?
I think it's a big deal. And I'll tell you, though, when I've gone and pretty much seen a double feature almost every week I'm going to see Exit 8 tonight, the Japanese horror film based on that
Oh,
video
yeah, I
game.
heard about that.
It's open. I'm going to see that in another film. But so I go to Irvine. I've been going to the Regal, the Irvine Spectrum. So they
Great
have
theater. Great theater.
They have a collection of TV of trailers, and they showed spots for the new Taylor Sheridan series that Michelle Pfeiffer is in.
Oh yeah.
So
And isn't Kurt Russell in that one as well?
Yeah. So like it's called Madison or something. So they'll show that, and I'm watching that trailer, and it's for a TV show, and it will be followed up by the Mandalorian theatrical trailer. So I'm watching two things, and I was thinking about this the other day. There is no delineation. It does say only in theaters. It says forged for theaters or forged for IMAX.
Yeah.
I don't think people are paying much attention. I think you look at that trailer looks like a TV show. There's nothing about it
It's just images.
that looks any different from what we've been watching on TV. You know, it's the trailer starts out with "Don't touch that button." I mean, we're still playing that joke for 3 seasons where Grogu where Grogu should be like a total badass now. He should not be acting. And you're looking at this, and I'm watching this going,
Well, he is still a baby.
he's 50 years old.
But for that species,
Yeah, no,
he's still a baby.
I know, but I want to see when I'm watching it. I'm watching the same jokes I saw on TV.
Right.
There's nothing necessarily. There's no scope to it. You know, you're watching Sigourney Weaver. She's sitting in what looks like Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen's house. You know, I mean, it's obviously a little bigger. Maybe it's the bar from the first one. I don't know, but when you're watching this, there's nothing about it that screams, "This is a theatrical experience. This is a bigger experience than what you've seen." Seems like the same thing. And I guess that's not a bad thing. But even this, it's not like it's the arena in Dune where we met Fade
Right.
Ralpha, you know, where you're outside and there's a black sun streaming down and there's why isn't this like the Bunta Eve pod race from episode 1? Why are we looking at this tiny little thing? Like, show me a huge arena with all these screaming people.
Because it's an underground fight club, Rob.
I guess
It's
so.
an underground fight club.
Yeah, and the
I mean,
first rule of Fight Club
This
is you don't
the-
talk about it.
This is
so
the
no one knows.
Star Wars universe, man. I want to see big. I don't want to see. I mean, look at this. What's in the background? Where is he standing? I don't know.
He's in a dark place, Rob.
I guess so. I
Metaphorically
just don't
speaking.
think. I don't think people when they're. I just know in the theater, unless you're paying attention, that it's forged for IMAX, and even the ad stuff doesn't look. It looks pulpy. I understand where they're going with it, but it doesn't look like it's a theatrical event to me.
No. And I remember people kind of guffawed at me a bit when I said, listen, it can go over. It can. But I think Mandalorian and Grogu is going to have a struggle to get to 500 million.
I do too. Unless it's really good.
Which for a lot of movies, 500 million is amazingly great. But we're talking about a Star Wars film. And I'm not saying it should be $1 billion film, but I think it's going to struggle to get to 500 million. And now we're getting these fan things showing us that they're not looking forward to it. They're looking forward to Insidious and Scary Movie and Mortal Kombat 2 more than they're looking forward to this. Listen, the one reason I still have faith in the movie, I've said this before, is John Favreau.
Yeah.
Like, as long as he's doing it, I'm going to hold out hope for it. 100%. I'll be there. But from day one, I thought making this as your first movie in 7 years in theaters, just an extension of one of your TV shows, a TV show that, by the way, kind of fell off the rails at the end. I've never understood the wisdom behind this. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Are you surprised that The Mandalorian and Grogu, a Star Wars film, didn't even get onto the top 10 most anticipated list for this summer out of the Fandango survey that surveyed 6,000 average movie fans? I'm surprised, but maybe we shouldn't be. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, time for us to play a little game of Versus. The way Versus works is really simple. I jumped on the YouTube channel a little bit earlier and I asked you guys to send in some scenarios. Say that 10 times fast. For example, Leonardo DiCaprio in Gangs of New York versus Leonardo DiCaprio in The Aviator. You know, that sort of thing. You guys sent in a bunch. Jonathan's got a bunch of your scenarios ready to go. So, Jonathan, what we got up first?
All right, Rob.
Uh-oh.
Let me bring up our lower thirds here. Who do you got here from Brandon Bowers? A higher box office potential, Masters of the Universe versus Street Fighter.
Ooh.
Not Mortal Kombat, but Street Fighter.
You know what? I'm going to go with Masters of the Universe. Street Fighter, another foundational video game. You know, Raul Julia is not in this one. But I'm going to go with Masters of the Universe because I think while it's not showing up on lists, I think it's going to surprise people. I think it's going to be kind of a sleeper hit. And I think there's going to be more people because also it's a 4-quadrant movie. Parents, if they're looking at what they're going to take their kids to, they're going to go see Masters of the Universe before they're going to go see Street Fighter. So I think business-wise, it's going to do more business.
To me, this isn't even close. It's not remotely close. I don't think Street Fighter is going to make 200 million. But not opening weekend, not domestically. I don't think Street Fighter makes 200 million, period.
Right.
And I do think Masters of the Universe gets to 3 or 4. So for me, this one's pretty easy. I don't think either one of them were blockbusters. I honestly don't think anybody's going to go see Street Fighter. It looks terrible. Like, it just straight up looks gaggingly awful. So, I mean, hey, maybe they put out new trailers and it totally changes the vibe of it. But since I don't see Street Fighter even making 200 million, I'm going to say easily Masters of the Universe. All right, what's next?
All right, John, who do you have here in this versus match? From Unijack Black, Charlie Cox as Daredevil versus John Bernthal as Punisher.
Oh, man. You know, I've loved Charlie Cox ever since Stardust. That to me is the most underrated film of all time. My boy Henry is in the most underrated comic book film of all time, Superman, but the most underappreciated, underrated movie ever is Stardust. By the way, my boy Henry is in that movie too. I love him. John Bernthal is fantastic. And listen, I think the Daredevil series is better than the Punisher series. I love the Punisher series, both seasons. I think the Daredevil series is better overall, but I gotta go John Bernthal as Punisher. Charlie Cox is great as Daredevil. He's a wonderful Daredevil. But John Bernthal, all actors are replaceable. But John Bernthal is in the role of Punisher, is one of those guys where you go, it's hard to imagine somebody else playing him. You know, Charlie Cox is excellent as Daredevil, but I can imagine other people playing it. I just can't imagine anybody else playing, not Thomas Jane, not like, it's hard for me to imagine anybody playing Punisher right now. I'm sure they could get somebody else and maybe even somebody better, but Bernthal is such a great fit for that character that, yeah, they're both fantastic in their roles. I'm going to say John Bernthal as Punisher. Rob, what about you?
I got to go with you on this one. Because Charlie Cox is too nice. John Bernthal will kill you.
Right, but he's supposed to be that as Daredevil.
I know, but
who's
there's
the better fit for their character?
I just think that Bernthal, there's no way. I mean, Charlie Cox, I mean, the Daredevil, you know, it's Daredevil and Punisher. John Bernthal goes so hard, and we'll talk about how hard he goes. He goes so hard. He's going to win every time. I mean, he just will. And I like you said, it's not even about seeing somebody else in the role. I'm just thinking which Punisher going up against which Daredevil. At the end of the day, Daredevil would be praying, because he's Catholic, would be praying to God, and the Punisher doesn't pray to anybody except Chuck Norris. And John Bernthal is going to lay waste, and there is nothing you can do about it.
By the way, I mentioned Thomas Jane. I should also mention the great Ray Stevens.
And Dolph Lundgren.
Ray Stevenson as I really liked his...
Yeah, I did too. War Journal?
I liked Warzone.
Warzone.
Punisher, right. Warzone. I really liked that movie, and I really liked him in it. But yeah, for me, it's Bernthal. All right, what's next?
All right. Yeah, we're going over to you, Rob. Who do you have in this matchup from PG? Project Hail Mary versus Interstellar.
Ooh. You know, I'm going to go with Project Hail Mary. I think Project Hail Mary is more cohesive and more heartwarming. And Interstellar, I have always had a problem with the ending, him in the behind the bookcase. even though Interstellar goes hard too. I'm going to go with Project Hail Mary. It's just a nicer movie. Interstellar has a few holes for me.
I got to go Project Hail Mary too. For a couple different reasons. One, it's a more enjoyable film to me. Like I just walk out with a heart full, smile on my face, all that kind of stuff. And Interstellar to me is one of those movies that I don't know that in the hands of any other director, that movie would have even come out coherently.
Right.
Christopher Nolan showed how good he is by taking it. It's still not my favorite Christopher Nolan film.
No.
I don't appreciate, don't get me, I like Interstellar, but I don't appreciate it as much as say a lot of people in the reverence level that a lot of people hold. I'm with you on this. I'm going to go Project Hail Mary for me. All right. What's next?
All right, John. Who do you have in this matchup? From Spartan, More Faithful Revival, Dexter Resurrection versus Daredevil Born Again.
Ooh, these are good questions.
Ooh,
Faithful
that's a good one because you're not asking which is the better show.
Right.
You're asking which is the more faithful revival. Ho, ho, ho. That's a good one because Daredevil Born Again is acing it. Like this one, more than season 1 did, has really gotten itself more in the train tracks and in the groove of the Netflix series. They've done a really good job with that, 100%. But I got to go with Dexter Resurrection because while Dexter as a cinematic universe, if you will, lost its way badly, sitting down and watching Dexter Resurrection felt like we haven't missed a beat. It felt like I went from watching the last episode of the original Dexter series right into this. And it was seamless and perfect. I loved the series. I would probably say I think the Daredevil Born Again series is a bit of a better show overall. But if we're going to talk about what's the more faithful revival, Dexter didn't miss a beat. So I'm going to say Dexter Resurrection. Rob, what about you?
Yeah, I think that I because it had much more ground to gain back, and I was wildly entertained by Dexter Resurrection.
Oh, so good. How good was Peter Dinklage in that?
So good.
He was so great
So
in
good.
it.
I mean, look, Daredevil Born Again season 2 is amazing, but I do think that Dexter Resurrection was way better than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
I expected Daredevil to be great, but so I'm going to go with Dexter Resurrection. And it's not taking away anything from Daredevil to say that, but Dexter
not at all.
Resurrection took a show that had lost a step and really brought it back to where it should be. And plus, I liked all the guest stars.
Oh, they were great.
They were great.
How good was Jessica Jones in it?
Oh my God.
Kristen Ritter.
Yeah.
So good in it.
So good. So good.
Yeah, she's a serial killer, but I think she's one of the good serial killers. Well, turns out she's not. And, it was so good. Guys, if you haven't watched Dexter Resurrection, watch Dexter Resurrection. It's so great. All right, what's next?
Okay, Rob, we're going over to you. Who do you have here from Himanta Shogun versus Last of Us Season 1?
Shogun. I mean, look, Last of Us Season 1 was very good. But in terms of something that appeals to my sensibilities, the first original Shogun was one of my favorite things that I've ever seen ever broadcast. I loved. And so this new Shogun, I went in dubious. I'm like, come on, there's no way you're going to make a show that's as good as the original Shogun. I was wrong. I mean, the new Shogun is incredible. And while I don't know, because I haven't gone back and watched the original Shogun since I've seen the new Shogun to see if I think it still holds up, and it's just very different. It looks very different. It looks much more modern than the original Shogun. I gotta say,
It's more faithful to the book too.
yeah. I gotta go with Shogun.
Yeah, I mean, look, Last of Us Season 1 was one of the best shows of that year. It got nominated for Best Drama at the Emmys. Like, for genre shows to do that is amazing. It's a fantastic show and truly one of the best shows of that year. Shogun is one of the greatest shows of all time.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that for effect. I truly believe it's in the top 3 greatest television shows ever made. Like, it's just that level. I mean, to use an overused term, it's pure cinema. Like every frame, every location, every scene, every line of dialogue, it just oozes awesomeness. It's just one of the greatest shows ever made. So for that, I got to easily go Shogun.
Yeah, and plus it's about, look, I like Last of Us, but Shogun is about the greater human truths.
Yeah.
I mean, it just has more to say,
And
I think.
lost things like honor and like it goes into all that kind of stuff too. It's just, and Hiroyuki Sanada, man, just, and Anna Sawai, and winning all the Emmys and all the awards. Yeah, definitely got to go Shogun. All right, what's next?
We got our final one here, John. Who do you pick here from JC? X-Men Days of Future Past versus Avengers Endgame. Which is the better time travel movie?
What's the better time travel movie? Okay, that changes things. I had one answer in my head ready to go. All right. You know what? I might be surprised here. I'm going to say X-Men Days of Future Past. If you're phrasing the question as the better time travel movie, time travel itself is used much better in X-Men Days of Future Past.
I agree.
It's one of the very, very few times in few movies. Obviously, there's Star Trek The Voyage Home. Obviously, there's Back to the Future. But I, in general, hate it when writers use the time travel trope because there's literally no problem in cinematic history that can't be solved with time travel. So I generally don't like it, but there are a few examples of when it's really done really, really well. X-Men Days of Future Past uses it much more than Endgame does, uses it much more effectively than Endgame does, and it's truly integrated into the story a little bit more.
I agree.
I'm going to say X-Men Days of Future Past, Rob.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, time travel is much more intrinsic to the plot of Days of Future Past. And you can say, when they go on the time heist, but I'll tell you, at the end, I love Avengers Endgame. People talked about, I think Infinity War and Endgame together are two of the great fantasy films of all time. Incredible and on every level, even though Endgame's a little looser in terms of the plot. But X-Men Days of Future Past had, I mean, it's time, the way it played with time and the way you had different versions of the same characters and revisiting the past, and Wolverine trying to convince Charles, well, who sent you? You did. And all of those, it was so interesting to see how people change over time, and I think it really did a great job utilizing that and making the passage of time and time itself part of the plot. But at the end, history has been changed. And when you see Phoenix and when you see Cyclops alive again, and there was real ramifications, real change was made for the better. And I love that. I think that's a better time travel story.
All right. And guys, that'll wrap up today's session of Versus. Thank you to everybody who sent in those scenarios. Keep your eyes open on the YouTube channel for when we put out the next call for submissions, and maybe you'll see your situation on the next round of Versus. All right. With that all down, guys, let's keep things going here, shall we? We'll go to this. A little bit of drama was going on over the last 24 hours or so. Deadline, I believe, put out a report saying that these actresses were the last ones in line now to maybe play Maxima in the upcoming Superman Man of Tomorrow. To which James Gunn then came out on social media and said, guys, I've never even met you say are now finalists. Like shoddy reporting and like all this kind of stuff. Well, then a little bit later, The Hollywood Reporter and Variety both put out their own lists, and they're identical, of who they say are the finalists, and James Gunn hasn't refuted this one. As in this report here from Variety, Superman sequel, James Gunn's search for Maxima narrows to Adria Arjona, Eva DiMonici, Sydney Chandler, and Grace Van Patten. It goes on, there's a good look at them, of course. Chandler, of course, was in Alien Earth recently, who is Kyle Chandler's daughter, one of the new Green Lanterns. Anyway, they write this. James Gunn's plan to add more star power to his Superman sequel, Man of Tomorrow, continues. The DC Studios co-chief is currently casting the role of Maxima, an alien queen who has been both an antagonist and a potential love interest for the Kryptonian superhero. Sources confirmed to Variety that the finalists for the sought-after role are Adria Arjona from Andor, of course, and I think she's the fan choice right now. I think she has been the fan choice for a while. Eva Di Dominici from The Cleaning Lady, Sydney Chandler from Alien Earth, and Grace Van Patten from Tell Me Lies. The actresses have all tested for the part, and a deal is imminent as shooting on the film starts late next week in Atlanta. So I think it's safe to say that the choice has been made. I mean,
Right.
the choice has got to be made by now. They got to know who they're going with.
Yeah.
So let's start with Arjona. I think this is the one most fans want to see, especially after watching her in Andor. Of course, she was also in Hitman. Which she was. I didn't love Hitman as much as a lot of people did, but I thought she was absolutely
She
one
was
of
hot. in
her
that movie.
chemistry with Glenn Powell was
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic in that too. But then she was also in the 2022 version of Father of the Bride, and well, you know, Jason Momoa is in the family. He's Lobo, and I believe that she's dating Momoa
Yeah, they
right
were-
now,
yeah.
right? So I mean, hey, you keep it all in the family there. So then you got Sydney Chandler. Of course, most notably right now from Alien Earth. And you know what? There's something about her. Look, I think my choices are Arjona too, but there's something about Sydney Chandler that I just think would be a really good fit for Maxima.
Yeah, she's kind of got an exotic look.
She does, and she's got a strength to her
Yeah.
as well. So I think Arjona would be my number one pick. I think this would be, and again, keeping it in the family, her dad is our current Green Lantern. He's going to be our Green Lantern, and Lantern's coming out. So why not keep it in the family? So then's there. Dominici is an interesting one. I saw her a little bit in The Cleaning Lady, but I like her other notable stuff are Madonna, Blessed Dream, and Cosmic Sin. I've not seen either of those, but I've read a couple of other people when this report came out to say she's actually one of the actresses in Hollywood right now that a lot of casting agents are circling. So she could be a good contender. And then, of course, from Tell Me Lies, 9 Perfect Strangers and Tramps, Grace Van Patten, who is another one that I haven't seen a lot of her work. I saw her in one thing, and I thought she was pretty good. So she might be our dark horse in this. So my top picks would be, I think like most other people, Arjona, especially coming out of Andor. But if they announce Sydney Chandler tomorrow, I'm not going to be upset by that one
No.
either. I think she might be a really good fit for it. Anyway, Rob, you're hearing this list. First of all, what do you think about them using Maxima in it? How do you see her being used? And who do you like out of this list?
I like using Maxima because a fairly newer character. I mean, if going back
Relatively speaking,
relatively
yeah.
speaking, I like that. I think that if anything, we need more credible protagonists / antagonists to go up against Superman, because I would love to see Maxima depicted on screen and be a badass. I mean, you know, if you look at this image, the third girl that was in what was she?
Dominici, the Cleaning Lady.
She's got a really interesting look too.
She does. Yeah.
So I mean, as somebody who's an alien princess or alien warlord,
she kind of looks like Maxima a bit there. You know what? She either looks like that or somebody living on Themyscira.
yeah,
Does she
yeah.
not look like a Themyscira?
I mean, I think
Amazonian right
there's
now?
a reason why all 4 of those women are in the running. I mean, I'd be happy with really any of them, but I really like Arjona because
She's one you're leaning towards.
But I do like Miss Chandler as well.
Yeah.
Because I'm all about Coach Taylor and Friday Night Lights, so that has nothing to do with
Again,
her,
there's
but-
just something about the way she carries herself that I think would be a really good. But
Yep.
after seeing what Arjona did in Andor
yeah.
and just how good she is and the emotional range she has, I'd love
And
to see
she
that
could be
too.
mad and pissed off, and I could believe she could kick the ass of Superman.
Yeah. All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently, we have our final 4. One of these are going to be in Superman Man of Tomorrow as the new Maxima. I know a lot of people are saying, no, Arjona should be Wonder Woman. I think you need somebody a little bit taller for Wonder Woman. I think Arjona is like 5'5", 5'6",
Oh.
5'7", something like that. So, I mean, not super short, but maybe somebody a little bit taller. I don't know. I just like to see her in the universe, whatever you guys think. Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Well, we know that they're kind of buttoning up the newest season of Daredevil Born Again. As the week after the final episode of that airs, they're airing the Punisher special. Now, it does need to be mentioned that Punisher One Last Kill is not a movie. I actually had to jump into our live chat earlier today before the show started, because some people were mentioning they're looking forward to this movie. And it's like reminding people this is not a movie and it's not a show. It's one of the Disney Marvel specials. And it's probably going to end up being around 40, 45 minutes long. My guess, maybe a few minutes shorter, maybe a few minutes longer. And they gave us a little tease of it a few days ago when they gave us kind of like the final trailer of the second half of Daredevil Born Again. And they kind of threw in, and then the week after that, Punisher, whatever. Well, today they actually dropped a proper trailer for it. And oh my God. Oh my God. It looks so good. And it's dropping Frank. Now, they didn't really spell it out. The impression I got, Rob and guys in the live chat, tell me if you agree or disagree, is that there's a family that reminds him of him and his family. And the child in the family is in trouble. Frank getting traumatic flashbacks of losing his own family and says, "Not on my watch. You are all going to die." And then just a trailer, a Marvel trailer, a red band trailer, a lot of shooting in the facial area, lots of bloodletting. It looks narratively to the character, a perfect kind of one-shot story for him. As an overall experience, it looks so badass and fantastic. This trailer was awesome. And because it's not a full movie, and because it's not a series, they got to pack a lot into just a few minutes of screen time. And I think it is all going to be pedal to the metal. And I don't mean that every second is going to be action, but I mean every second is going to be rich. Whether it's rich with gun fu, whether it's rich with Frank murdering a lot of people, or whether it's rich with internal story being told and the personal conflict that Frank is having that will then feed into the action that happens. I think every single moment of this thing is going to be just all killer, no filler, either deep with story and character development or deep with brutal action from start to finish. I never thought they would bring back the Marvel special presentations, but I'm really glad they are for Punisher One Last Kill, that we get to see Frank being Frank before we get to see him in a PG movie with Spider-Man Brand New Day. Anyway, Rob, I let you showed up. You didn't know this trailer was out yet. Told you about it. You sat down and watched it. I haven't asked you your opinion of it yet. What did you think about this trailer?
Oh, this trailer goes so hard. I mean, I really liked how they're depicting him being haunted by his past.
Yeah.
The guy, how he flickers in and out, and that was a really big part of the character in the comics. I mean, I like when Garth Ennis was writing. I watched this and I said, I really thought it was cool because Barenthal had the idea for this.
Yeah.
And he's credited as one of the writers, and kudos to Marvel for when an actor goes, I had an idea. That could go awry.
It really
can. But
yeah.
He presented this idea, and after watching him on his own podcast and hearing him speak, I've never met him in person, but I have a lot of respect for him, as a human being, as an individual, and as an artist. He was so good in the Accountant movies, and he's just, I think he's probably a great guy, but the fact that he came up with this story and was able to execute it, and that Marvel went for it, that shows how good it actually is. And I think it comes through in this trailer. I mean, look, Might this not be good? Well, hey, it's like you said, it's probably less than an hour long, and we're going to get to, it's kind of a coda to whatever's happening in Daredevil Born Again. And I thought this looks hardcore, man. It looked marvelous to me, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, this is what I want. This looked like peak uncut. Look at this. Come on.
Oh, that's such a great shot.
I mean, like, this is right up my alley. This is catnip for me. I'm like, I'm so in on this. And once again, it's something separate that, you know, somebody said to me, there were comments. I tweeted out, I said, this trailer goes so hard. And of course, people are coming back to me, well, I have no more faith in Marvel. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, Marvel's on a streak. And, you know, Thunderbolts, like we
Fantastic
said.
Four, Daredevil.
Daredevil now, Wonder Man. We're getting Spider-Man.
Wonder Man.
We got this coming. I don't know. Marvel's on a streak, and I'm willing to follow. I can't where they go. I happen to know that Vision Quest is something very, very special, and I think, you know what? We're both big advocates of Doomsday.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I mean, this 2026 is going to be a good year for Marvel.
I do have to admit, though, that if you wanted to make a bit of a joke out of it, if you go, I lost count going through the trailer about how many shots in the trailer from different scenes, just a close up of Frank's face going, like, and then there'll be some action. Then Frank at another location, close up of his face, and then action. Then he's in another scene, close up of his face. It's like, wow, they really do like the angry Frank face.
Angry Frank face, yes.
Angry Frank face. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this trailer for Punisher One More Kill? I think it looks awesome. I can't wait to watch this thing. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that all down, it's time for us to do two things. First thing we got to do is bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, my friend. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Going for that double feature tonight. I'm looking forward to it.
Have a good one there doing that. And the other thing that we need to do right now, before we get to your comments and questions, is, of course, thank the sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show. They've been our sponsor all week, the good folks at Mando. Guys, we want to take a second to thank the sponsor of today's video, Mando. Spring is in the air, and I gotta tell you, I am pumped to get back outside and start using the pool more. But let's be honest, warmer weather also means one thing: sweat. That's why I've been using Mando whole body deodorant, and guys, this stuff is amazing. Now look, I've tried a lot of deodorants over the years, but Mando is different because you can literally use it anywhere. I'm talking pits, chest, feet, even those hard to reach areas. And what surprised me the most is how well it actually works. So for me, what I personally love the most, it doesn't just cover up odor, it actually stops it before it starts. Mando was created by a doctor who saw how normal body odor was being misdiagnosed and mistreated, and they built this to actually solve the problem. It's clinically proven to control odor for up to 72 hours, and I can tell you from using it, it delivers. So here's the deal, guys. Don't just mask it. Mando it. Head to shopmando.com and get 20% off with my code CAMPEA. That's code CAMPEA at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide. Again, go to shopmando.com, use the code CAMPEA, and get 20% off. Support the show and stay fresh out there. Trust me, Mando's got you covered. And thank you to our friends at Mando for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, with that all down and out of the way, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
Alex says, hey, fellas, John, was awesome getting to meet you at Spectrum last week during the showing of the drama. On average, what are your experiences like with audiences during the movie? I have crowd anxiety, and sometimes something will throw off the whole experience.
Oh, wow. See, I think that would be a real challenging thing, like to have crowd anxiety and going to movies, because ideally you're in a crowd. That is difficult. Like I often, ever since I've been doing the movie blog, like 20 years doing this sort of thing, like often people say, oh, you know, it's really hard going to movies because all these problems happen in theaters. And I don't know if I've just been lucky or whatever, but I'd say less than 1% of my times going to the theater is there ever anything that to me has been really distracting. Like, yeah, I've been in theaters where somebody's phone accidentally goes off, but then they turn it off. I've been in a theater where somebody was talking for a bit, but they stopped normally. Like being in one of those screenings where somebody's just a constant problem and constantly pulling out their phones and constantly. I gotta say, I've had very, very, very few of those experiences, to be honest. So maybe I'm just lucky, but I love the crowd is the main reason why I love going to the movies way more than just being a loser and sitting at home and watching a movie, which, we all do sometimes. But, I like to get off my fat ass and actually go out and do something. And watching movies with a crowd. I mean, yes, you're seeing it on a much bigger screen. Yes, you have much better sound. But it's the experience. Watching movies are experiential events. And what really makes that an experience is watching it with a crowd, the right crowd. And so, yeah, I love my movie going experiences with crowds, like 99% of the time. All right, what's next?
Alan says, hi, John. I absolutely loved the Shrinking finale. I thought they nailed the ending.
Me too.
That would have been a fantastic series finale. However, I love the show and characters. So I'm glad that they are making more seasons, and I'm sure they will be great.
Yeah, of course you're right. The Shrinking season 3 finale easily could have been the series finale. And if it had that been the series finale, it would have been a perfect series finale. But these characters are just too good not to keep revisiting them. They just are. To see where Jimmy goes from here and to see, how Sean does and to see, everything, just all these characters, because everybody needs a Derek in their life. I need a season 4 because I need a Derek in my life. Yes, it would have been a great series finale, but it was great as a season finale, and I cannot wait for the next season. All right, what's next?
All right. William says, hey, John, following up on yesterday's Avatar discussion, what does the term render actually mean in context of visual effects?
You know what? That's a fair question. We throw it around so much that we don't stop and say, oh, do people understand what rendering is? That is a great question. So just to catch you guys up who weren't here yesterday. Question came in about, we were talking about how long it just takes to render the effects and everything in movies like Avatar. So what is rendering? Let me put it like this. Think of a calculator, okay? So you open up a calculator, you go 3 times 3 plus 2, okay? So you type that in, you've put in your instructions, you've inputted your parameters into the calculator. Now, think of it like this. When you then hit the equals button, you are basically kind of then telling the calculator to now render this out. And the answer is 11. So you input all your instructions, you input the parameters, you input the problem. And once you've done that, now you hit equal, and for lack of a better term, the calculator then renders out your final result. That's kind of the same thing in some ways in principle, because let's say I now have a video project open. I use DaVinci Resolve. And let's say I've got a video project open and I want the word filthy to come flying in from the left of the screen into the center, be there for 5 seconds, and then drop down out of the screen. So in DaVinci Resolve, I set up my text layer. I put in my keyframing. I tell DaVinci Resolve, I want this text layer that I've created with the word filthy at frame 1 to be here, at frame 45 to be here, at frame 245, I want it down here to bring it in and make it drop out. That's all great. And I can see it kind of play out in the timeline, but then it actually comes time to render it all out, to export it. I've got all these instructions and layers and everything in my project, but now it's actually time to spit it out and make it a video. And that process of DaVinci going through and bringing that filthy word, one keyframe at a time through the thing and then down, it's actually now making it and actually putting it together and spitting out your result. That is rendering. So a lot of times you see these 3D animators and you see their screen and it looks like a really terrible version of it, but then they render it. They've given the computer and the program and the software all their instructions about what they want it to be, all the parameters. And then when it comes time for the computer to now spit out your results, for lack of a better explanation, that's what rendering is actually now making that thing you created. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. I hope that's helpful a little bit. All right, what's next?
Okay, we go to our super chats and hear from Brahmas, who says Danny Rand is returning for season 3 of Daredevil Born Again, but isn't Colleen Wing the current Iron Fist?
I can't remember how Iron Fist season 2 ended. Because I've never gone back to watch it again, and it was quite forgettable. But I did like Colleen Wing. So I don't know. That might be something they make a little bit different. Again, there's been no mention about whether Colleen Wing is coming back, and I'm forgetting the name of the actress who plays her. But she's great. She was in the last Matrix movie, which was also garbage. But I can't remember where they left her off. Yeah. All right. What's next?
We got Luis, who says they never show the Black Hood Daredevil They never show the black hood Daredevil has underneath his helmet. It magically disappears when his mask is removed, like Batman's eyeshadow.
Well, with Robert Pattinson, though, they do show all the eyeshadow and stuff like that. Yeah, you're right. Whenever they take it off, it's just his face. That's a good observation. All right, what's next?
Dino says, does the latest allegations against MJ hurt the box office for Michael?
No, not in the least. If anything, and I'm not saying it should be this way, but if anything, it might increase it. So, yeah, I just don't think they're going to relitigate that whole thing. So, no, I don't think that's going to affect the box office at all. If anything, it might drive more interest in it. All right, what's next?
We got Gavin, who says, I think Homelander will survive and instead have to live as a regular person, no longer better than anybody. Or if he dies, it's to regular people after he has his powers taken away.
Yeah, no, I think he's dead. I think he gets taken down in a showdown. And whether it's... Now, it really should be Butcher that does it. But it might be Butcher and a combination of Butcher, Starlight, and Ryan. You know, Homelander's biological son. Something like that. But I mean, who knows? You might be right. But I think he's going to get taken down in a big blaze of glory fight near the climax. But I could be wrong. I don't know. So let's find out. All right, what's next?
Keegan says, I turned 27 today, and last night I rewatched Jurassic Park, my favorite movie throughout my childhood, for the first time in my adulthood.
You know, it's funny. Anne and me and her sister and maybe her mom, I don't know why we did. This was just a couple months ago. We popped on the original Jurassic Park. I can't remember why we did it, but we just did to have it on. And man, that's a movie that never fails to make me go, this is a near perfect movie. I mean, Jurassic Park is a near perfect movie for what it is.
Yeah.
And it never loses its magic. Are some of the visual effects starting to age a little bit? Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair to say that maybe the visual effects are aging a bit, but
they held up for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, they have held up for decades. And it's just such a magical movie. I love it. I absolutely love that film. All right, what's next?
Christopher says, I bet Disney will show the Avengers Doomsday trailer at CinemaCon, but Disney will hold off on releasing it to the public for a while.
Here's my guess, and it's just a guess. My guess is that they are going to show us a Doomsday trailer, and they're going to show us a bunch of footage from Doomsday. I believe the trailer they will release that night. I think they're going to show us the trailer at CinemaCon, and then maybe 15 minutes, an hour, hour and a half later, they'll release the trailer online. But I also believe they're going to show us a bunch of footage, and that they will not release online. They always, at CinemaCon, they always show us stuff that then they put right out to the public, and they show us stuff that they never show to the public. So I think my guess is going to be they do give us a trailer, and we'll then later release it in the day, and then they will also show us some actual footage from the movie, and then not release that to the general public. That's my guess. All right, what's next?
Jeff says, best guess, how many years before the MCU does a full reboot of all characters, or will we have a 65-year-old Chris Evans still playing the part?
Listen, everybody seems to think they know what Marvel is doing after Secret Wars. Nobody does. Nobody not named Kevin Feige does. I mean, there's a possibility it literally could be right after Secret Wars. It could be a lot sooner than we think that they do it. Or it might not be for another 15 years. My best guess is not that long from now. I'm going to guess like 2030, 2031, shortly after the X-Men comes. You know what? They might even do a few X-Men films and build up to an Age of Apocalypse and then reboot the entire Marvel Cinematic World after Age of Apocalypse. Again, I have no idea. I'm just guessing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's next?
Rich Reviews. John, if the Ian Fleming estate approached you and said, we will pay X amount to write a Bond novel using unused Ian Fleming material, would you write it? Also, what would the title of the novel be?
Oh, there's no way I can answer that. I have no idea. I mean, it's a great question, but that's a question I'd have to sit and think about for a while. I'm not a very good writer. I'm just being honest. I love writing. I've written several scripts. I've written a book. But I'm compared to real, true professional writers, I'm not very good. I'm just being honest. But would I love to take a crack at it? Sure. What would I call the title? Yeah, I don't know. No idea. None.
Yeah, that's such a deep question for like on
I'd
the
have
fly.
to know what I'd have to know what the book was going to be about, and then I would have the title reflect what the book was about. So I can't do one without the other, unfortunately. It's a great question, but I would need time to think about it.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Rich Reviews follows up. Podcast recommendation. The British History Podcast has been going on since 2011. Nearly 500 episodes.
Wow.
Covering Britain chronological since the flora and fauna, currently on year 1101 AD.
The fact that none of that interests me probably points me to the fact that I will not check it out. But I love podcasts that do that. Like podcasts that cover a particular circle, a particular area, a particular issue, and then just like 500 episodes. That's awesome. Now, for me, that's not a topic of discussion that interests me, so I probably won't check it out. But I love that it's there, and I'm sure it's probably got a pretty good following.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's next?
Attack of the Mushi. Last day today at work after 10 years.
Oh,
and cheers. He seems to be happy because there's beer clinking each other.
Well, hopefully it's your last day because you're moving on to another job.
Or retiring or whatever.
Or retiring. That's the thing to raise your glass to. So hopefully it's to move on to bigger and better things.
We got Cassidy Kelly who says, Schneider said he knows the new X-Men cast. Is that true?
Listen, if Jeff Snyder says he's been given information, believe he's been given information. He never lies to his audience. Now, that said, there have been examples that he's been given information, but he's been given bad information. That has happened sometimes. And that's often outside of our control. Like if we get given information that's not correct, what are we going to do? So I don't know. It's hard to imagine that they've already cast it in total because, as we talked about yesterday, they haven't even written a script yet. They literally just brought on new writers to do a new draft of the script. So, but I mean, we do know they have Sadie Sink. So it is conceivable. We've talked about this before, that it is conceivable. They already have their Scott and their Charles and their Hank and whoever else. Like it is possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible. I wouldn't put money on it, but I wouldn't bet against it either at this point.
All right.
All right, what's next?
Our final five here. King Daddy Goat says Mortal Kombat 2 winning Oscars. Trust me, Sub-Zero, bro.
Get off my plane.
It's not winning. It is not. I feel pretty safe looking in my crystal ball off into the future of saying that I do not believe that Mortal Kombat is going to be in any discussion for any Oscars.
Best Casting Award.
Best casting. Hey, they got Hiroyuki Sanada and Carl Urban. There you go.
Jeff says Star Wars has had two trilogies where the overall sentiment after each was meh or disappointment. That's 27 years of frustrated fandom. Hard to be pumped for Mando and Grogu at this point.
Yeah. I mean, the prequels were abject garbage, and then the sequels started well, and then I mean, listen, the first one, Star Wars, I keep on wanting to say, it's not the Phantom Menace, Star Wars, The Force Awakens. A lot of people forget, not Avatar, not Endgame, not Infinity War, not Titanic. The number one all-time box office movie in the United States is Star Wars, The Force Awakens. And I don't know that it's ever going to be beat. I'm not saying it won't. I just don't know if it'll ever be beat. It's still no. So it started well. And then The Last Jedi was hit and miss. There are some things I really liked about it a lot. There's a couple things I really disliked about it. And then we got to The Rise of Skywalker, which was just, I mean, it's prequel bad. It's like you prequel level bad.
It's like you put a movie and fast forward and watched it. It was like, hi, here we are. Now we're here. Now we're there.
Terrible.
Here. Hey, look at this person. Oh, look at this. I found this. Oh, there's the Death Star. Oh, this fits. Let's go over there. Hey, there she is. Hey, there he is. Let's go.
And none of it made sense. The entire movie, none of it made sense. And so you've had that. Now, thankfully, they've also had Rogue One. And Rogue One, I mean, I'm sure there are many people who don't like Rogue One. I don't know anybody that doesn't like it, though. Like, everybody I've ever talked to about Rogue One all seems to like it. It's a great movie. I love Rogue One. And then their Disney Plus stuff has been so it's not even hit and miss. It's hit and miss and miss. Hit, miss and miss, hit, miss and miss. Because yes, the first couple of seasons of Mandalorian were really good. And Skeleton Crew is wonderful. And Andor, again, is the single best thing Star Wars has ever done since the original trilogy. But then you've got Mandalorian Season 3. And you've got the Book of Boba Fett. And you got Ahsoka. And you got The Acolyte. And yeah, man, it's just, they're in a really precarious spot. And hopefully now with new leadership and all these things, we can move into a better era. I just don't know why they're starting off the first cinematic film they've had in 7 years with an extension of a TV show. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. All right, what's next?
Joshua Jones says, remember when we were worried Daredevil Born Again would focus on action more than dialogue? We got action and amazing small talk, including peak Matt and Frank.
That's what made the original Netflix series so great, was that balance.
Mm-hmm.
Because listen, again, any 5-year-old child can write, then he punches him in the face, then he throws him out a window, then he kicks him in the head. Anybody can do that. It's when you integrate that with great characters and great story. You know, I've always said this, action without narrative purpose is just visual noise. Action without narrative purpose is just visual noise. And one of the great things about that original Netflix Daredevil series was it was all so seamlessly blended in together. Every action that took place had a narrative purpose or was birthed out of a narrative thread, you know, and it's all ties in for this rich, great viewing experience. And that's something they've recaptured with this new season of Daredevil. It's really impressive. Anyway, what's next?
All right, final two. Seconds from Disaster. Have you seen They Will Kill You Yet with Draco Malfoy? Such a fun movie, non-stop action from start to finish.
No, and I really, you know what? I had bought tickets. And then Anne wanted to see Project Hail Mary again. So we skipped it and went to go see Project Hail Mary instead. And one of the rules I have for myself is that if I can't get a review up within the first 24 hours of when a movie comes out, I don't review it. I've just, 24 to 48 hours. And then since I missed my window to review it, it dropped on my priority list of what to go see. Now, I really like Zazie Beetz, so I've been wanting to see it. I just haven't had a chance to see it because that opening weekend, we opted to go see Project Hail Mary again. And I do not regret that decision, but because of that, it kind of fell off my radar a bit. All right, what's next?
Jay Bling.
Is this the last one?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not that surprised by Mortal Kombat being on Fandango's anticipated list because regardless of how the movie turns out, the movie has been trailer friendly at the very least.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. See, that's the power of trailers. Because I had goose egg, like zero interest in this movie before they dropped that great trailer for it. And then once they dropped that great trailer for it, I was like, you got me. I'm on board. Totally on board. They leaned into the things that that work well for it. They leaned away from the stuff that fell flat for them in the last movie. And again, listen, this movie may suck. I mean, overall, it might not be fun. It might be lame. We might be bored by it, whatever. But the trailers have been fantastic. And they turned me from having no interest in it because the last film was such garbage to actually being legitimately excited to go see this movie. I am legit excited to watch this movie. And that is the power of the trailer, man. So you were right. It has absolutely been trailer friendly. And all right, guys, I see somebody asking, yes, we had turned off the super chats a little while ago. Anyway, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys very much for your support. Big thanks, of course, to Robert Meyer Burnett, our technical director, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys.
My name's John Campea, and until tomorrow, my friends, bye-bye.